Hello, this is your captain speaking, and welcome back to Life, the Universe, and Everything, your daily stream of consciousness resource.
If you're the captain, who am I?
You're the first officer.
Great. Well, I guess that's something.
Now go do my homework.
No. That's my own. By the way, before we get started on anything, is there do you have a bunch of chests somewhere? Because I have so much stuff in my inventory.
I've got one chest in the room.
Okay. I need to go put stuff in there.
What do you think? Should we start on an underground sort of base thing?
Up to you. I'm fine with whatever. Go away, spider.
Right.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
I quite like to build something with tunnels in it.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, well, I'm going to make a chest outside. Okay, well, let's find where we're going to start first. Because I'm just going to put my chest of stuff there so that we don't have to move it twice.
Right.
Oh, well, I guess we're going to have to move it twice anyways.
Remember when you moved it twice?
Not quite, but close.
By the way, I've got some wool so we can make a couple of beds and sleep through the night.
Okay, that will be helpful, yeah. Do you need more? Because I got 25 string on me.
I've got plenty.
Okay.
I've got enough for 4 beds.
And by the way, did I tell you I have 9 name tags? So
yeah, he's found the whole lot. Remember in the guys how when we're generating the world, we turned up the number of dungeons that could spawn. Yeah, turns out they are turned up. Can you come?
Oh, sleep. Where? Oh, hello. I want this bed.
Okay,
no, I'm just kidding.
Fine.
This one.
Is it realize the perspective changed when you're sleeping?
What do you mean?
Or maybe I've got a different FOV than I usually play at, so that's probably just it. But yeah, so the thing we're talking about this episode is the iPhone 6. Probably a bit of a disclaimer about our personal biases. I quite like this area. Do you like this area?
I like every area.
Where should we go underground? Probably down here somewhere?
Do you want to drill into the side of a mountain?
Yes, to sort of build the entrance more dialed into.
So do you want to go on a curve? Make an a curve or a diagonal arch type thing going down? Do you want to go in the side here or something?
Careful, I saw a creeper down here somewhere, but yeah, it's down there.
Found him. He looks friendly. Nope, not friendly. No. Well, he's here.
Nice. But yeah, probably just maybe a slightly straighter rock face. So if we straighten this out so that it's flat. This thing, maybe.
Okay. Where are you? Okay, you want to go with the straight entrance? Okay.
Yeah, because it sort of forms up to that. But yeah, so our personal biases. I'm going to turn the block volume down a bit. But okay, so what types of technology do we prefer? Matt?
I prefer Android over Apple.
Yes, and I prefer iOS over Android, which is a nice even split. I'd like to point out that neither of us are raving loony fanatics over the things.
Well, I don't know. I really get uptight about it.
How much you love our Android.
Yeah.
Also, I prefer Mac OS 10, whereas Matt prefers Windows, though we both...
Windows 7.
We both hate Windows 8, so at least there's something we can agree on there.
Mm-hmm.
Take that, Matt Ferrari.
Who likes Windows 8 anyways?
I know, right?
How big do you want to make this, by the way? This entrance?
Probably... We could start it out fairly small and expand it if, for decorative purposes, we need. So,
do we want to make a double arch entrance or something? That might work if we
make
it bigger.
That might look cool. Yeah.
Okay.
But
here I
yes.
come.
So whenever we talk about technology, I'm probably more likely to be on Apple's side, whereas he's more likely to be on Google's side, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. Generally.
Generally, yeah.
Generally.
Though neither of us, as we said, are anywhere near the level of devotion to our ecosystems that some online religions seem to.
Yes. So it should be all right information.
Yeah. So, iPhone 6, what do you think?
And 6 Plus.
And 6 Plus?
Um, I haven't got a ton to look into it yet, but it seems like they're moving into a state where all of their phones seem to be getting bigger. The iPads seem to be getting smaller, and they're kind of moving towards each other. I know some people have said, well, it's getting to a point where the phone's too big. However, I think they actually did fairly well by making two different sizes, like making a 6 and 6 Plus. I think that did help because I know you said you were okay with the size on the 6, right?
Yeah, so I haven't seen the 6 Plus, but I've seen the 6, and it seems like a very sensible size. Obviously, Android makers have been making that size of phone for years, but it does seem to be a very sensible size, both in terms of how small it is and how large it is. Yes.
Well put. But yeah.
Thanks. I was particularly impressed by that turn of phrase myself. I do have to say, though, that coming from Apple and as a fan of a lot of Apple's designs in the past, I thought the iPhone 6 came across as a little bit uninspired, to be honest.
So, what kind of made you think that? Was it just seemed like a repeat, or?
No, it just seemed every new major redesign of the phone, as in aesthetics. So when the 4 came out and when the 5 came out, and even when the 5S came out and they changed the color scheme and what it looked like, every single time. Yeah, I've got the iPhone 5S at the moment, right? And I used to own the iPhone 4, right? But both of them, when I first got them, honestly, I'd spend time just looking at the phone and considering how awesome they were.
So you feel like they've kind of went off a little bit on aesthetics?
It does, I have to admit, feel a little bit generic, if that makes any sense.
Not
I mean-
really anything new and exciting, just kind of the same style.
Yeah, and if you look at both the iPad Mini and the iPad Air, they've both got the same style, just slightly larger, right? With the flat back, the bezeled edges, and the color schemes. It just, I don't know, maybe there's just not enough metal in there for my taste.
And to be honest, I have the same feeling. I like metal design in like everything I have. Like I just feel it looks a lot more professional, which is why I usually like it. But I don't know. Like, and its thing is with my Android phone, I have an older one, so it's not necessarily metal. So I don't necessarily love
got
it.
S2, right?
S2X,
Plus.
yeah. So it's a little bit old, a little bit older than some. But you know, ouch! No, it's not happening again. I want to test out how a diagonal arch would look.
That could be interesting.
Uh,
I mean, many supporters of this phone will probably say that it's difficult when you're scaling up and trying to be as minimalistic as possible to come up with a good-looking, inspired design. But I have to admit, in all honesty, I love the HTC One in terms of aesthetics. And I'm not alone by any means.
aesthetics of like the exterior, or just how it's kind of laid out in like the operating system side of it.
The operating system, you know, if I got one, I'd pick stock Android. But just the external aesthetics of the thing and the metal and the bezeled curves and it,
Just looks
just the
nice
whole way it
overall.
looks, you see it and
I know
looks
what you
really awesome just at a glance. The iPhone 6, by comparison, almost no response on any kind of a personal level, I suppose.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. It's they also released the this iPhone with the smartwatch, correct? Because I haven't really looked into it, but I think was it at the same time that they released both?
Well, they announced the smartwatch, but it's not coming till early 2015.
Wait, early 2015. Wow, okay, that's a ways away.
Yeah, so they announced it prematurely, and I think that's mainly because they've been having problems with the production and. Oh, nice job.
Thanks. I was wondering if you were gonna say anything about my great achievements.
But yes, it seems like they've been having problems with the battery on it. So if you'll notice at their keynotes, probably the most concerning thing about it is they went the entire hour-long presentation without once mentioning what the battery life of the thing was. And
That's not very
reassuring.
reassuring. Yeah, it's like they're trying to, I guess, hide something.
Well, to me, it seems there's two possibilities. Either they know that the battery life is going to be terrible, and they're trying to keep it hidden for as long as possible, and then quietly
State
announce it
it.
later.
Yeah.
Or the other possibility, I think, is they're working on a battery solution that's better, but
Yeah.
they're not sure if they're going to have it ready in time. And if not, then they'll just use the stock.
Yeah. Because you don't want to say, okay, look at this, we're making something amazing, and then, well, okay, it didn't get out, and then people are, it's even worse.
Yeah, and that would be terrible. So I think they've got, and it seems most likely to me that they've got an idea, but they think it's quite a long shot.
Hmm.
Or at least there's a significant chance that it's not going to be ready in time. And they just want to cover their back, basically.
Well,
So,
I guess that is smart from a business perspective. You don't really want to be, um, you don't want to be stating something, and then if it doesn't actually happen, you'll get huge backlash. So, I
yeah.
guess, I
And
guess if that is what's going on.
and it would probably even hurt Apple's public image if they came out and admitted, yeah, we're working on something, but we're not sure if
Yeah.
it will happen. Because on the back of Steve Jobs, they sort of formed this reputation as we can do anything if we put enough time and effort into it.
Hmm.
That's the public image they've been attempting to create around them, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So I can see their justification for the thing. Is that going?
I
Well,
don't-
that does look cool.
It, the top isn't right. I'm trying. It's so hard to figure out. It's like it's the time when you wish you had creative
I know, right?
or a jetpack, because I have to keep pillaring up each.
Yeah, I'll bring the beds out here, shall I?
Oh shit, that's a good idea. Yeah. Don't want any creepers exploding
Actually, I'll,
already.
I'll make two more of them.
Ugh. Okay, don't look at it yet.
Yeah, so on the whole, it's a very impressive piece of engineering, definitely. But the most impressive piece of engineering of any smartphone, I don't think so. I mean,
Yeah.
HTC One, I will admit, has more than its fair share of problems. That they haven't quite got it down yet,
Yeah.
and which is really unfortunate.
Yeah, because I know there's been. I've watched some reviews on different phones as well. And
Shall we sleep?
Oh, right, yes. Oh, well, still took fall damage. And I've looked on some different reviews and such, and there are phones, but it turns out a lot of times, like, they get really hyped up, but then there's just these noticeable problems, which are just like, there's only like one or two things, but there's the things that are enough to annoy you
Yeah,
and just make you not
Considering-
really want it.
the number of times every day you're going to use this thing.
Mm-hmm.
If-
Which is one really difficult thing for the producers or the manufacturers of this is you got to make it basically perfect. Are you trying to fight the Enderman?
No, it just teleported, but apparently you are.
Yeah, I wanted to kill him.
But yeah, things like the Amazon Fire Phone, they had a couple of things that were really innovative and really cool, but it didn't function as a phone very well.
Mhm.
And you're asking people to put up with that. So,
Yeah. If it doesn't do its main function, then really the phone is not. It's not living up to what it has to.
I'd argue that Apple is very good at the basics of everything a phone should do.
Yeah, they do get that down well, and they make it fairly user friendly, which is good as well. where and one thing like because we're not like I'm not completely Android only as stated in the beginning of the video. Like for example, like the one thing with my phone that I've mentioned to you before, but for the viewers is my Android phone actually it does something weird. I used to have a
And
an app. Yeah.
sorry, just with this pillar, are we extending its stone brick further back, or
I'm not sure yet.
that's gonna look cool.
I hope it looks good at the end. We're gonna need to extend this wall a little bit though.
I'll start working on that. Which
okay.
wall?
Just like start breaking that one out a
Okay,
little bit. I think
I'll
it's
do
just gonna
that.
need to go a little bit further.
Sorry, I interrupted you. You
No,
were
it's
saying.
fine. I'd mentioned it to you earlier, but my Android phone, it's quite annoying. It has this thing where I have 16 gigabytes of storage space on it, but it says only a gigabyte's allowed for games, only 5 gigabytes is allowed for video, and it's basically like almost like partitioning the drive for each individual thing, which is absolutely terrible in my mind. Oh, that's not a sneak. Because it like if I don't have either music or a lot of videos or something like that on my phone, well then I'm basically using 1 gigabyte of the amount of space I paid for, which is something completely that I think just was either not thought through or just completely and terribly engineered in my opinion. Which is one reason that I never had a problem with Apple phones in that aspect. They always just worked kind of when you get them. And then I do prefer Android though in the end, just because price reasons and other stuff like that. But that is one thing that it's more user friendly I find with Apple over Android.
Yeah. I do have to say though, and I can't believe I'm saying this, Samsung is also good at the basics and making sure that almost everything works as a phone. I mean, okay, some more about personal biases. I hate Samsung with a passion.
Oh.
I was being very careful not to take out the block under you.
Sure.
But I will admit that they do know how to make a phone that does most of the basic things, just not very well, and
but better than some.
Better than some. Being able to cover bases more evenly than some. Though honestly, this is a discussion. Samsung smartphone business is probably a discussion for another time. Because I could go off about that for the entire
episode of just Samsung. Yeah. See, well, the thing is though, I don't mind Samsung, not necessarily phone wise, but like for example, like I think like some of their other tech stuff, I think they're fairly like they're not like overly priced, but they put out some good products as well. Like for example, like I know like solid state drives and stuff for computers, like they're fairly well known for the Evo brand that they have out for their solid state drives, higher quality stuff. And that's one thing I like about Samsung. I don't know a bunch about their other stuff. I know obviously, well, I have the phone, but other than that, like, and I'm not sure if it was just a Samsung thing as to why the phone was such bad with storage, but for me, they've been pretty good at quite a few things. But then again, I haven't really tried everything.
If you're looking at beeping in the background, that's a fire alarm going off of somewhere. But it's gone now, so I'm sure it wasn't important and I won't have to evacuate.
Oh, good.
Reasonably. But yeah, so Samsung definitely a good idea to talk about another time. But yeah, so general roundup for the iPhone 6 is meh. Yeah, I have to admit.
If that's what you're feeling. Because I personally, I haven't seen really the phone or anything like that. But it's good to know what people who've actually gotten the phone think about it.
Just, I don't have the phone, but...
Or will have seen the phone, right? Because you've seen it, right?
Yeah. Yes, I have. I do, however, predict that it's going to sell incredibly well.
Like everything else, Apple. What?
And especially because people have been saying, "Oh, I'd switch back to Apple if they made bigger ones" for years.
Well, I guess this will be a test to see how truthful that is.
Yeah. So last year with the 5S, they sold 9 million in the first weekend. So
Is that it?
Yeah, only 9 million. So, how about we have a prediction contest and see who's closer?
Oh
Because
boy.
they haven't released the figures yet, at least
So
when we're recording this.
in the first weekend,
First weekend, considering that the iPhone 5S was 9 million.
9 million. I'd say. Oh boy. I'll say 11.37.
Okay,
Nice and
I'll go.
precise.
I'll take the upper. I'll say
And wait, are we including both the iPhone 6, 6S, like all both of them,
6 and 6 Plus, yes.
or 6 and 6 Plus? Yeah. Okay.
Because they,
Hmm.
at least last year, they didn't release individual figures for the 5C and the 5S. Probably just to cover up how badly the 5C was doing. Honestly.
Yeah, like I knew at the beginning, like it's a very specific market it's kind of geared towards. So I wasn't sure how it was gonna do because it is geared more towards, in my mind, kids, because it's more of a how do you say, it's more of a, like, it's a plastic phone basically, or I guess it's for people that don't really have much money, which can be smart because not everybody has like $600 to spend on a phone. Um, which is why sometimes stuff like Nokia is gotten and stuff like that. But I think it was more geared to more of a selective market. But how did that end up turning out for it? Do you know the numbers?
I don't know the numbers, no, but I do know that throughout its entire life, it never sold as well as Apple predicted it to. So they were always, at least in the first few months, pretty short on 5Ss and had a pretty large supply of 5Cs.
Yeah, which to me makes sense. Like I can see why it wouldn't have sold so well. It's a good idea. Like I think it helps open up the market to more people, but I just don't think it's 100% Apple, because Apple, in my mind, isn't somebody that goes for the lower end products, which I think kind of was what the 5C was in my mind. It's a lower end, lower cost product, which I just, in my mind, I don't see that as Apple.
Right.
Um,
Another thing to note is that the 5C was in internals and specs and everything identical to the 5. And normally when they release a new phone, they take the previous year's phone and reduce it by a price point of $100. When they release the 5S instead, they release the 5C at $100 less than the 5S was cost. So essentially, the same price as they would have sold the 5 if they hadn't released the 5C, if that makes any sense. So
sorry. If they had a 5, like, so the 5S is the more expensive. Then if they would have sold a 5, it would have been 100 less. But the 5C is what the 5 was.
yeah, so when they released the 5, they continued selling the 4S, but at a $100 discount. When they started selling the 4S, they continued selling the 4, but at a $100 discount, etc. Right? But when the 5S came out, instead of releasing the 5 at $100 discounts, they released the internally identical 5C.
But it was plastic, correct?
Yeah.
Actually, it was a little bit slower, wasn't it? Correct? It was.
No, I think it was exactly the same stats as the 5.
Okay. 'Cause I can't remember. It's too long ago. I thought it was slower, but it might not, because that was a fair while ago, so I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I could very easily be incorrect here. But it could honestly be, and I'm not sure if they devoted an entire product category to this, but in order so that they could give an excuse to stop selling the 5. Because
yeah, and so yeah, did they put out a 5 at all? Or was that just kind of like there's only S's now?
no, they as soon as the 5S came out, they stopped selling the 5 completely.
Okay. Oh, right. Because it was the 5 was introduced originally.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
But the 5S has some problems, right? Especially with the paint on the edges that gets rubbed off every time. And yeah, especially when you've got black paint and it's rubbing off to reveal silver metal.
Nice.
You see iPhone 5s and they've all got this problem. And they all look absolutely dreadful. So you can imagine Tim Cook and Johnny Ive just sitting there cringing every time that they see one of these things pass by because it's not portraying Apple in the way they want it to. Are you coming?
I had to finish. I'm coming now. I'm on my way. I had to get some sand for an idea I had.
Does it involve glass?
Yes. Yes, it does. Actually, I was just planning to build it out of sand now and hope it doesn't fall.
You see that zombie drop into the pit there?
No, I didn't see what it...
It just walked forward into the pit. I thought these things were supposed to have good
Yeah, they're supposed to be smart. Apparently not. Okay, let's take this out. Oh, man, we're running low on coal. Do you have any coal on your person?
3. Is that anywhere near enough?
I will ration what coal we have, and we will be fine.
But I don't honestly have a huge amount to say left about the iPhone 6, other than that, no, NFC wasn't a big surprise considering they brought out Apple Pay. Honestly, there were really no... That's probably it. There were honestly no surprises.
It was just kind of what you expected?
It's just what you kind of expected.
Yeah, based on the previous
NFC
one.
was interesting, but it's hardly a breakthrough technology.
Because NFC hasn't that been in Android phones?
Some Android phones, or quite a few Android phones.
Because I think mine has, and that's when you touch the phones and they can transfer data, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, my S2X has that.
Yeah, so a wide variety of Android phones for years. Obviously, making generalizations of Android isn't always a good idea, but...
Oh yeah, well it's a huge market of different stuff, so it's hard to basically...
But yeah...
say, because there's always basically one out there that probably has it.
All of the flagships or the best sellers, pretty much.
Mm-hmm. Oh, did you make a...
But,
oh, you did, perfect.
and then the last thing I have to say about the iPhone 6 is those lines on the back. They... You know those bands of plastic or whatever it is? Or not plastic, but it's probably metal or something? I can't stand them. I'm sorry, but...
You love them.
They look ugly, and even when the iPhone 4 came out, right, and it had those breaks in the antenna bands right on the side, and people said, oh, that looks awful, it's not the way Apple would do things. And then they revealed, hooray, actually, the bands around the outside are part of the antenna. Yeah, isn't that cool? Right?
Wait, what? It's part of, like, the bands are part of the antenna.
Yes.
Huh.
On the iPhone 4s, right? And 5s as well.
Oh, I didn't know.
So that's why they're there. And they justified how it didn't look very good by...
Yeah, but I was going to say, yeah, but that doesn't really fix the issue. That just... You can say why it's there, but that doesn't help.
But this one, they gave no justification for the bands around the sides, and the only impression I'm left with is that they think that that looks good. And people on rumor sites for months have been saying, oh, don't worry, I'm sure it will grow on you. It's not. It looks terrible. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I haven't been able to actually see it in person, but I don't know. Like, is it just like kind of like stripes on the back, or?
It's a band near the top on the back and one near the bottom, and it's quite thick as well. I don't like it. But honestly, if I had to really sum up the entire iPhone 6 launch experience as an Apple product, I'd say it's pretty emotionless, to be honest.
Well, that's it. I guess that's not typical for Apple. Usually, it's a lot of hype from stuff like this.
Yeah, maybe I just haven't been hit with the full hype train necessarily, but
Well, I guess if it's not good, it's not great. Well, if it's not great, it's not great. But
yeah, I mean, it's perfectly good, but who knows?
I'm having issues.
Oh no. Do you need me to go find more coal?
Well, actually, there's some coal in the wall there.
Yeah, I found some.
I don't like the look of this yet.
Do you need more stone and stone brick steps?
I think we're good on. Well, I guess if anything, we
Because
just need to
I
smelt
dropped. I picked these up when you dropped them.
more. Wait.
They're on
I
the
dropped
ground.
Stuff? I dropped stuff. Oh, okay.
When they were broken. But yeah, do you have anything left to say?
No, I think that's about all I know from Apple.
Okay. Well, this has been your captain and
And first
Matt.
officer, was it?
First officer. Yes.
Hope you guys enjoyed.
Yeah. See you next time.
Adios.